A really common mistake that students do is spend too much time revising on the topics that they know. The reason that we as humans do this is because it is comforting to go through information that we know. We know it, and therefore it's rewarding to us. I feel confident on that topic. What we then do is forget about or ignore and deny that there are other more challenging topics. We bury our head in the sand and we hope on hope that that topic doesn't come up in the exam. Frustratingly, it's always the way that the topic we haven't revised is the one that comes up. So we need to be making a checklist of the topics that we know, but also in particular, the ones that we don't. And so what we need to have is a revision checklist. We need to look at the specification for each subject. That's the starting point to identify the gaps in our knowledge. And an easy way to do it, and I'll show you the online in a moment, is to go on to how we find the different websites. So how I've got mine on is I just go onto Google and I put in my specification. And through Google, I can come across and find the specification, and I might just want to go down to the specification at the glance. I can then make sure I'm going to the A-level content, and I can print out what is involved in here. And then what I need to do is check off what goes on. You may also find that subject staff have put these on their VLE. So if you go onto the VLE, you come onto the home page, and this is the mega menu. If you click on the mega menu, you will be able to find all of your subjects, and you can then go into the class dashboard. So I'm going to go into psychology as my subject, just an example. And I will go on to the year 13s because that's the year group who are taking to their exams. And as well as seeing they've got lots of questions and all of the PowerPoints, a lot of subjects also put on the specification in a document. And so this is where I've got the whole of the document. So my year 13s have just finished forensics, and this is the specification that they've got. And then they can actually print out this as a checklist, make sure that they've got the lesson notes, and then rag rate whether they know it, whether they don't know it, or whether they're not so sure and need a bit of help. Then what they need to focus on is the tough ones that they don't understand. So that's just an example of a different website that you may want to do. So you just need to Google the subject and the exam board. A really important thing to do is to be able to find past exam paper questions and to carry these out under timed conditions. It is one thing knowing the information, but it is another being able to write that information under a timed constraint. And within the lessons, we will be doing timed exercises, and we will be doing that to challenge and to give the students an example of how best to learn. Because in an exam, it is one thing taking half an hour to write an essay at home for homework, but in an exam, you may only have 15 to 20 minutes to write it. So doing that under time conditions would be helpful. You can get these online really easily. And so go back onto the VLE just to show you. There you might have examples, but I can also go into assessment resources and come across loads of different papers, and all exam boards will have their specification and examples of assessment material for that. If you struggle to find that, do ask the subject teachers. We will be able to direct you how to do that. Another additional help sheet for you to be able to do, I've uploaded into the files on this Teams channel. And these are other ways that we can learn. So, how to make revision cards. There is a document and a sheet how to make revision cards. And I like to use revision cards through Spaced Learning. It is absolutely a phenomenal way of learning the knowledge. And it's a really important way that will help you go through the knowledge you don't know more than the knowledge you do. So Spaced Learning is a fantastic way to be able to practice that. And within the document, there is a link to an excellent 6-minute video that explains how to use Spaced Learning. Spaced Learning is actually how Tassomai for Maths and Science works. If you do Tassomai every day, it will get quicker and quicker. Tassomai is set up to repeat questions on topics that the students struggle with and less topics on the ones that they're more confident on. Trust me, the more you do Tassomai, the quicker it will be, the more helpful it will be, plus the more helpful it will be for departments to know what areas need to go through. Mind maps are an excellent way to learn and to understand how to learn a topic. There are so many different ways that you can do, and there's a sheet to explain how that works. And on the sheet is a link to a website or a YouTube video called Unjaded Jade. And she talks about something called blurting, where you take a little bit of time to write everything you know on a topic, and you cover it and you complete that topic. You can then take some extra time on a different colour and add to those notes. So you're then developing and having a brilliant set of notes. But you can then use it to look to see what colour have I done in that first colour where I've not used notes. They're the subjects, the topics I'm sure of. Where I've had to go into a second colour and use different information, that then means I don't know that topic as well. And so in my revision, I need to be making sure I'm focusing on there. A really useful method is to transfer your notes into the Cornell method of note-taking. And there is a sheet on that. It's called Cornell because it was developed at Cornell University. And it's a way that you can set your notes up so then you can have keywords in one column, the notes, the information in a slightly wider right-hand column, and at the bottom are a summary, key terms or examination tips. I can then take this sheet and use it as a revision tool. I can cover up the notes and just look at the keywords and think, do I know this? I can then go back and use it and cover both the keywords and the notes to see how much I can remember. So they're interesting ways that I can use. I have also found a really interesting document that might be aimed at starting GCSEs, but if you click on this link, it will take you to the document, the PDF file, and it tells you about different styles across different subjects and will give you more information on skills and strategies that you need that you can then use in the exam room. It also then does give you options in terms of employment training and study if you're then thinking about the next step once you've completed your exam results. I've not created a document on this next thing, but I'm wanting to explain it because actually this is a fantastic tool, and it's often called the Seinfeld strategy, named after Jerry Seinfeld. Now, some of you may know Jerry Seinfeld and watched his show. He's a fantastic comic, and he has created so many jokes. And what he does and how he does that is he sets himself a target. He has to write 3 jokes every day. And if he writes those 3 jokes every day, he crosses out the day on the calendar. If he writes more, fantastic. If he only writes 2, he can't cross it out. And what he found is that after a few days, you develop a chain. And the more you do, the less you want to break a chain. Just like Duolingo carries out day streaks and you want to keep that going day after day. So you go back to it to keep going. This is a simple way. So what you need to do is to use this technique. You need to set yourself a target. You need to think about, what do I want to do every day? It doesn't have to be education. Parents yourself can set it at the start of the new year. You can say, I want to go walking for 30 minutes a day. It might be that I'm going to learn these words every day. I'm going to carry out 30 minutes of study every day. And once I've done that, I'm then going to be able to cross out. And the more I do, the less I want to break the chain. Think about it this way. A famous pianist said, if I miss 1 day of practice, I notice. If I miss 2 days, the critics notice. But if I miss 3 days, the audience notices it. We don't want the exam board to know that we have messed up, that we haven't learned the information. So keep it going. An important word of warning, though, is to pick a meaningful task, but pick one that is simple enough that can be done, that is simple enough that I can sustain it, but it is also realistic. Saying I'm going to revise for 30 minutes may not be enough, but whether I cover 2 subjects every evening, that's manageable. Again, reading notes is okay, but it's very vague, it's very passive. Perhaps you may want to complete 1 past paper question a day. On the PE section, they have 1 a day exercises where you can actually get 1 question a day. You can actually get, if you like Tech Savvy and you don't want to cross out on the home calendar, you can actually download an app. So that is a way to remind you how to do it. So give that a go. So they're the different strategies of how to study.